Welcome, everyone, to the 144K Crystalline Temple of the Sacred Flames. My name is Tiffany Tin. I am a High Priestess, the founder of the High Priestess Ascension Academy and New Earth Alchemist Academy. I'm also leading the Healing Temple and the 144 Crystalline Temple of the Sacred Flames. I welcome you into this sacred space today, alongside with the Ascended Masters, Gurujis, saints, archangels and angels, and light beings of all lineages that have guided, protected, and led Earth throughout its different cycles of ascension. To my fellow light workers, thank you for the work that you've done in this lifetime and the many lifetimes that you've been. Your light is needed now more than ever. And so come join us in this conversation today where we will work with the sacred dragon flame. In today's episode, we continue with the rise of the dragon flames, and this series is a series that will explore leadership from a lens of ethics in spiritual space, how we can reclaim our power as spiritual beings by tapping into our spiritual gifts and focus on building the new earth together. So today's episode is named, as you can see, Get Rich Quick. Spirituality has no substance. And I believe this is also an important conversation that we need to have as spiritual light workers and healers, oracles, and ritualers. And that our practice, our spirituality, needs to be rooted in lineage and in culture. So every single one of us have ancestors that have practiced spirituality in our own unique ways across many eons and many traditions. We have different unique practices, unique guides, and ascended master that have guided our lineages. And so this is a time when Earth is going through a transition where chaos and destruction is happening. We need to look back and pull the essence of what has helped us in these previous cycle in order to continue moving forward with new innovation while being flexible and adaptive at the same time. So this is a clarion call to all of us light workers to tap in and root down like a tree, like a dragon, to ask ourselves, what is in our lineage? What have our ancestors learned and harnessed from the past that we can now really reclaim the sacredness within these medicines, within these herbs, these practices, these scholars, these scrolls, and these knowledge that can help humanity ascend at this time. My mission is to activate other light workers such as yourself and to together create the new earth together by rebuilding the temples, by showcasing through our example that it is possible for people from different lineages, different backgrounds, and different lineages of belief to come together and create the new earth together. And I believe this is the essence of why we've come forth in this embodiment. In our past lives, we have explored different lineages. Maybe in one of your past life, you were an Asian person. Maybe you were living in Africa. Maybe you were living in the Middle East. And so I believe that we chose our lifetimes for specific reasons and that it helped us become more open and more um, open and accepting towards other cultures and their lineages as well. And a lot of you, and let me know in the comment as well. Do you practice and do you also practice in resonance with different lineages and cultures? One of the blessings we have now with the internet is that we can interconnect with each other. It's easier more than ever to find spiritual knowledge and a spiritual teacher. But we must remember that each of these lineage comes from a culture with values, with memories, with its up and down, its strengths and weaknesses. We must honor the origin of these teachings as well. And it is through this honoring and respecting and appreciating each other's culture and spiritual knowledge that I believe we can all come and rise together. Very much like the images that you've seen perhaps on the internet, where there's a picture of Earth and there are different ascended master, Babaji, Kuan Yin, Jesus, Mother Mary, Isis, across all of these traditions, all sending golden light towards Earth. This is the vision that we are bringing forth in the new Earth together as light workers. And so I wanted to affirm that your existence, your wisdom, your spiritual gifts are all very important at this time. And to please take a moment to appreciate and honor the inner work that you've done, the outer work that you have done, and the love and the light work that you have given to the people around you, to your community, and to your beloved ones that are close to your heart as well. Today's teaching will go through 3 points together, 4 points together, sorry. So, first point is that in spiritual practices, and this is from general observation, that I feel like due to the circumstances, we have created an environment where spirituality now is sometimes seen as only a technique or a method. But spirituality really connects to a lineage and connects to cultural values that it comes from. For example, Reiki is a very well known energy healing modality. And as an Asian person, I grew up with a very heavy influence from the Japanese culture. And I feel that there's a component that's missing when we are learning about Reiki is that we also need to spend time and devotion to understand what is the culture of Japanese culture, what is the teachings behind it, and why are some of the values important when it's stemming from this particular culture. So instead of seeing these techniques as just techniques and methodologies alone, we must now root deeper down and go deeper to see, okay, this is Reiki. This is what Master Yusui have bring forth in his lifetime. What values are important if we were to become Reiki healers? What values should we embody if we were to become a lineage bearer for Reiki, for example? And so these are questions that we need to, as a community together, start to root down and really ask ourselves these important questions. And this will really allow us to shift from just seeing spirituality as a technique or methodology to something that is deeply connected to our human history, to our ancestry, to diversity, and to community care. So it is important for us to also root ourselves into our culture. So every single one of you now, I get a lot of students asking me questions such as there's so many light workers out there now. I fear myself putting myself out there would not be enough, or maybe what I have to say, someone else have already said it. The really important thing to remember for all of you is that you are unique. You have your own set of spiritual gifts. You come from a certain lineage. You come from a certain culture. And so, even if we were to deliver the same message, you will have a different flavor. You will have a different way of describing it, and you will have a different way to touch people's hearts. For example, we can look at cooking. We can have the same ingredient, right? Let's say a vegetable soup. If you give it to an Asian person, we will use different herbs from our cultures. If you give it to right another person that lives in the Mediterranean, they will have different spices that they would use as well. Same ingredient, same form of ascension teachings or embodiment teachings, but there's a different spice, a different flair, depending on the healer or the messenger that's delivering it. And so at this time, Mother Earth needs all of us to stand up, to raise our voice, to be loud, and to be heard and practice being seen. She needs us to be the voices for the children that were silenced. She needs us to rise up to be voices for mothers that grieved at night. She needs us to rise up to speak for humanity, to speak for the animals, to speak to the trees, the leaves, the ecosystem that we are part of. And I know that we here because we don't agree with how the current system, empire, is treating us, the animals, the ecosystem, and Mother Earth. You are the angels. You are the light workers that Mother Earth and heaven sent to Earth in a physical form. And this is the time for us to rise together and lead with love, lead with light. Show the world that there is an alternative, there is another option. We must stand as hope, change makers. We must stand, shine our light, and be proud of our spiritual gifts. Show as an example that we can walk this path and that we can invite others into our space, into our temple to practice in harmony together. This is a treasure that I believe worth way more than money alone. So I invite everyone today to tap into your legacy and ask yourself for a moment, what type of legacy would I like to leave behind from this lifetime? Synthesizing from all the lifetimes that I have in this current body, when I do exit this physical space, what do I want to leave behind so that the world is a better place, so that the children are protected, so that we have a different way of living? Every single one of you is a droplet from the ocean, a leaf from a tree, a spark from the divine source. So your voice, your presence are so important, so appreciated, and so much loved at this time. So let us shine our light together. Let us be bold and brave, and let our voices be heard. The first principle of today's teaching is devotion. So take a moment to ask yourself in your journal, what does devotion means to you? Devotion in your spiritual practice. You see the get rich quick spirituality that people use as clickbaits nowadays. For example, there's nothing wrong with manifesting, but sometimes I believe there's components missing in those type of teachings. Is why do we want to manifest? What is our why? A lot of the teachings out there seems to be like manifest so you can have a mansion, manifest so you can have a fast car. But what does that really do for us? What does that really do for us as a community? Sure, someone might click on it, but at the end of the day, does it has to do with human legacy? Does it better our family tree? Does it better our community? Or does it enrich our culture or human experience? So when we ask ourselves, number one, devotion, we start to see these outside manifestation really in itself don't have to do with what causes the deep devotion that we have towards source, towards being in service to others and community care. A leader of light, a light worker who leads, healers are leaders. We focus on devotion. We ask ourselves, why are we showing up? We ask ourselves, how can we be of service to others? We ask ourselves, who are we devoted to? Do we manifest because of what we want, or do we manifest because of what is good for me and the community at the same time? So, one of the question or one of the habits that we can change as light workers, instead of always having affirmations that says, "I am abundant," "I am this," "I am that," is to add these affirmations to our practice to say, "We are abundant. We are healthy, joyous. We are in harmony." So we do this in our temple as well, where we do a collective manifestation and an individual manifestation as well. So that will amplify the power of your spiritual gifts because divine is now observing you and they're seeing that not only do you want to empower yourself, but you have the intention to empower the community as a whole. You are, from the lens of Mother Earth, focusing on the ecosystem, not just your own benefit. It will make your manifestation power more powerful and more encompassing at the same time. The second principle is dedication. When we are leaders of light, we dedicate ourselves towards a cause. So, in our previous video, we talked about mission. In the episode when we talk about vision. So now we talk about legacy. So devoting yourself and dedicating yourself towards a legacy is the path of spirituality. It is the path of allowing us to focus on what is most important based on our values, and that creates our character. It makes us an everlasting light in our own life and in our community. So, the second question in your journaling practice today is, what would I want to dedicate myself towards? Do you want to devote yourself towards helping children or helping single moms or helping conserve the forest? What are some things that truly your heart cares about as a light worker? Who do you want to channel? Do you want to channel for trees? Do you want to channel for angels to help others heal emotional wounds? Do you want to channel with Mother Kuan Yin to guide others to tap into devotion, compassion? Asking yourself these questions, get clear on your legacy. With clarity, you know exactly where you're heading, and every step of the way will become much more easier. You will learn to trust yourself, and everyone else will become a supporting character in your own human experience. You then now own your power and you can stand firm in your power at the same time. And that is embodiment. Number three is discipline. When it comes to Eastern spirituality, like Kung Fu or even in Shaolin temples, a lot of times when we practice spirituality, we don't start off with channeling. We start off with chop wood, carry water, and we do a lot of physical activities to hone our focus and concentration and groundedness. It is only when we have these components that we have built a strong foundation, then it allows our gifts and channeling abilities to align in the right direction. So, how do we share teachings that have substance that can preserve and last? Is through some of these principles. Is we need to, as light workers, as light leaders, guide others to practice these principles. Discipline is definitely one of them. Discipline is something that shouldn't be external, it should come from internal. Discipline allow you to have a rhythm within yourself. I said the word rhythm because sometimes people confuse discipline as something that you must do it exactly like this every single day. Discipline can also mean honoring the season of your cycles and your life as well. So we are orientating towards the Mother Earth energy. She has seasons. So discipline, you can ask yourself in this third question, how do I want to practice discipline in my life? And I'll give you some example using the principles of yin and yang. For example, every week, now I have committed myself to do one YouTube video. That is the structure. That is the yang, the basic structure of my discipline. However, within the discipline, within each episode, for example, I practice the yin, what do I want to talk about? What does my heart wants to say? When I do a prayer before the live and tune into Mother Kuan Yin, what can I speak to help each other, to help us become more empowered? That's a yin practice. So within the container of yang energy, I also allow creativity to form my creation at the same time. So, this is how you can apply discipline, not in a very rigid and totally masculine and systematic way, or too free flowing without structure. With yin and yang, you can have a very balanced way of having discipline, dedication, and devotion in your life. And that's part of the teachings of the dragons is the yin and yang balancing of both sides of the coin. The fourth principle now is discernment. Discernment right now, especially with the release of the Epstein files, is really guiding and training humanity to learn about discernment. Discernment takes practice too. It doesn't mean that we'll be really good at it right away. It takes us some time to learn. Oh, when I get this feeling, it feels wrong. When I get this feeling, it feels right, and allowing ourselves to test with each step of the way. Does this work? Is this the right way? Is this the right way of doing things? We start to ask ourselves and each other questions in order to go deep, in order to practice honing our spirituality. We see right now the system is really collapsing. There's violence, there's unjust, because this system is built without the values of substance spirituality. It is based on only profits, only money, only fear and control. But we are saying no more, and we are asking for Source to guide us to anchor this new earth together. So, rather you are an artist, a healer, an oracle, whatever your gift is, you are part of the puzzle that we need. It doesn't matter if you're like me, who's introverted, who prefer to have your own space, but there are opportunities when you can rise up and shine your light that no one else could in your own unique way. So, allowing yourself to stand in your power and work with the dragon flame. The dragon flame is going to give us courage to help us see within ourselves the power within already. In Japanese culture as well, there is a term called kaizen. So, kaizen means a continuation of honing and improving a certain practice or even a certain item or skill. So, spirituality in sometimes certain teachings seems to miss this point. And this is where I see a lot of people get lost, burnout, or frustrated is that capitalistic spirituality made people feel like this is the goal that you reach. And if you don't reach the goal, then you've somehow failed. But spirituality in Eastern culture, we never looked at spirituality like a destination. We look at spirituality as something that helps us continue to improve, to hone, to experience ourselves. It's not something that we attain externally, it's something that helps us unfold and blossom like a lotus flower. And so, helping us allow ourselves to connect with these four principles that we're sharing will help us then align our spirituality with groundedness, with substance. And this will make you stand out as a light worker if you're already teaching, if you're already working with people, because you're bringing innovation and also the deep rootedness of Eastern tradition as one, yin and yang. The prophecy of the indigenous, the First Nation, says when the condor and the eagle comes together, ascension will happen. Well, my friend, the dragons of the East joins you in this adventure as well. So let us be together and create this new earth. In Chinese as well, there's three principles that very much connects to these 4Ds principles that I am sharing today. One is called Dun Lin. So Junlin means dedicated practice. In a lot of martial arts movies that you might see, they always talk about you Junlin. Junlin is something that you train yourself, you dedicate yourself towards this practice. There's not like a specific end goal. There's not really like, oh, I need to be able to lift this many pounds or I need to be able to do this. But it's more like Kaizen is a continuing practice of getting better, improving, pushing the frontier. It's a process, it's an experience. We also have another principle, second principle called Mo lean. Mo lean, mo, that is like an verb that means grinding. So when we make flour, for example, you put the wheat into the grinder and then you start to grind and mill the flour. That's malling. So it means that in our spirituality, when we malling ourselves, it means that it takes hard work, and that's okay. It takes work, right? Like dedication, devotion, discipline, discernment to practice spirituality, but that is what makes us more grounded, more rooted. We also have number three, Shaolin. So Shaolin means honing your practice. Shaolin means, in a way I can describe, is let's say your hairstylist is cutting your hair, right? They really take the time to first do like a big trim, but then they do like a second layer trim and then another trim. So that's the action of Shaolin, is they take the time to slowly form and shape the end product for you. But in our case, in today's teaching, is that we look at spiritual practice as something that we can also shift as well. You don't need to put yourself in a box or a cage and say, this is how I need to practice spirituality. You can honor Jesus and read the Bible and read Buddhist scriptures and work with Buddha and Kuan Yin, and also honor and practice with Guru in yoga lineage at the same time. There's no really a constriction as long as it's done with appreciation, honor, and comrade and alliance ship. I feel like that is what the new earth will become. I feel like the new earth will still have different options to practice spirituality, but we'll practice it in a very harmonious way. We can also agree to disagree in a very emotionally and spiritually mature way without having to use violence. So, going forward now, everyone, more reflection questions for you all is number one, what are you building that will last beyond you? So, artists, your artwork, writers, your books, healers, your videos, your transmissions, your students. Think about how you want to build your legacy as a leader that will last and benefit future generations. Question number two, if you already have your offers, you can ask yourself, does your current offers, actions, or content reflect your soul mission? Is it aligned to your soul mission? Or are you doing it because you want to please the masses? Or are you doing it out of a true intention for your heart? Number three, what would you like your community, your temple, or the people that know you to say about you if you were to ascend or leave the body tomorrow? What would you want to be known for? What would you like them to describe you? Number four, where have you been tempted to chase quick wins over long-term impact? Temples takes years to build. And so allowing yourself to take this full principle and ask yourself, If I'm looking as a leader and I'm building this legacy, I need to look at this in a long term lens. What can I allow allow myself to see? If you're building something important, you only measure yourself out of 1 year to say, oh, I started my practice the first year and it didn't hit the goal that I want. And then you give up very quickly. That is not a long term goal. That is a short term vision. So, if you were to broadcast and lengthen and zoom your consciousness out of your body and see into the grand picture of your life, what is the long term impact? Number five is, how do you define true spiritual wealth? And we have talked about this before in other videos as well, is that some of us might not have the big mansions or whatever the capitalistic society want us to have. But if we tune into our Akashic records, if we tune in out to our virtue and spiritual gifts, we are very wealthy in that way. And so let's orientate us towards that, the spiritual wealth that you already have. What do you feel is wealthy within your soul? Number six, what are some codes, some knowledge that is uniquely yours to steward and protect? This is something that you can figure out in meditations, or in my example, when I work with students and clients, when we channel the Akashic records, there's always answers within your soul that will show you this is what you're here to bring. This is what you're here to share and to teach. And so, in myself, for example, is the dragon flame. Yours might be something else. Yours might be about the forest. Yours might be the medicine of the mushrooms. You might be the medicine of the ego, for example. Usually it links towards your culture, towards your values, towards your ancestry. And also sometimes really important past lives as well. Number seven, what ancient lineage or soul memory are you here to reclaim as you rise into your legacy? This might take some time for you to figure out. So, in myself, for example, I started out also with learning from other teachers, and then slowly through practice and honing and embodiment, then I truly understand what I'm here to bring to do. So you might not have answer for this question yet, but would like you to start reflecting and start remembering these questions so that it gives you clarity on how to move forward into the future. Number eight, shadow work question. What must die within you so that your legacy can rise? For example, old patterns, old ego identities, habits such as people pleasing, playing small, playing safe. Number nine is, what is one rooted action that you can take today that serves your legacy? So, what is something that you can do today? Maybe, right, you feel that I want to talk about the medicine of the bees. You have this magnetism and draw towards it, but you don't know too much about it. And maybe starting today, you start to do more research. You start to gather books about bees. You start to learn about ancient priestesses that works with the bees, honey, womb, for example. Number 10 is final question, is, what would it look like to build slowly, sacredly, with devotion, dedication, discipline, and discernment instead of rushing? So it's asking yourself, what would make something so fine and so delicious that I will look back in my life in this lifetime and feel that I have done sweetly? like creating honey as bees, like the tea master in a tea ceremony. The action is done with care and intention. These are the actions of how we can rebel towards the system right now without outward violence. When we start to tune into these questions and practices, we're saying we're still in the system. However, we are creating a new way of being. So instead of rushing, what is something that you feel you would like to build slowly, and allowing source to guide you through the process, asking yourself what is truly important and how to keep yourself focused and concentrated on building this legacy. Now, some of the things or ideas that you can do too is to create a network, a community, start finding like minded people. And they don't have to be right away in your reality yet. It could be an ascended master that you feel you want to learn more about. It could be following another spiritual teacher that have the same type of vision, mission, and value as you do. You can read books about the topics that you're interested in. Start at the energetic level, and then the people will start to come as a reflection of that work that you've generated through momentum. And that is my teachings today from the temple, is going back, rooting back down in order to reach forward. We take from our history, from our culture, our ancestors, what have helped them, what have helped guided them towards this point in history. Learn from our mistakes, but we move forward in light, in trust, and in faith. And everyone, if you would like to join me on your journey as well, if I am one of your supporting character in your path, please feel free to join me in other workshops that I'll be hosting on this YouTube channel. If you want to dive deeper as well, please visit my website at highpriestessascension.com. Go to work with me or online courses and see which level of practice would you like to join us. We have our free library, free resources from the Healing Temple, my opening to channel course are all free for access. We have self-study courses on priestess power, light codes teachings, light language, to deeper studies of light language, Lemurian rose lineage light codes, Kuan Chi, working with Kuan Yin, dragon flame keepers, and also seraphim wing makers as well, to the higher master levels, High Priestess Ascension Academy and Master Soul Alchemist. The temple is open and accessible to everyone at this time. And I want to thank everyone that have witnessed and have grown alongside with me throughout the last 10 years. And to all of my students, graduates, and current student and future student, thank you so much for rising up, standing in your power. I am cheering you on. Thank you for creating this community with me. We are in this together. So let's unite. Let's honor, appreciate each other's spiritual gifts. Sending you a lot of love and light. And I will see you in the next video. Have a good night, evening, or day wherever you are. Now go out there and shine your lights.